Greetings viewers, welcome to today's class. Before I continue, don't forget to subscribe and watch these videos. They are all interesting. This is just a summary of parasitology. Now, we'll be looking at introduction to parasitology for today's class. Now, whenever you hear of parasitology, what is it all about? You might be thinking that parasitology is just all about study of parasites. No, because a parasite cannot just exist on its own. It can't live independently. So that's why parasitology can be defined as the study of parasites, the host, its host, and the relationship between them. So it's just the study of parasites, its host, and the relationship between them. Now, these organisms have to interact. There should be a relationship between them. Now, a situation whereby organisms of the same species interact or have relationship in common is what we call intraspecific interaction or homospecific interaction, whereby the interaction between organisms of the same species. Then a situation whereby organisms of different species interact is known as interspecific interaction or heterospecific interaction. So the interaction between organisms of the same species is intra or homospecific interaction. Then the interaction between organisms of different species is known as inter or heterospecific interaction. Now, the general terms for this interaction between living organisms is known as symbiosis or symbiosis. Now, these symbiosis have four types. We have the phoresis, we have the commensalism, we have the mutualism, and we have the parasitism. Now, let's look at the phoresis. Now, phoresis is a type of symbiotic relationship that involves two organisms. The one that is called the phoront, which is the smaller organism, is mechanically carried by its host without without having any metabolic dependence between the two. So the phoront is being carried by its host. So the only benefit it derives is just the motion or the movement that the host carries. There is no metabolic link between the both. Example, when a fly carries a bacterium, when a fly is actually carrying a bacterium, you might not even know that it's carrying a bacterium because a bacterium has a negligible mass. So the bacterium is the phoront while the fly is the host. Then commensalism. Commensalism, this is also a type of symbiotic relationship whereby the commensal actually derives or benefits from the host, but the host neither benefits nor loses. So this is where the commensal organism will derive, that's the parasite, the commensal parasite derive from the host, but the host itself neither benefits nor is harmed. Example of this commensalism is when we talk about the entamoeba, the entamoeba gingivalis, the entamoeba gingivalis and the trichomonas tenax. These two parasites, they actually inside the human mouth, whereby they feed on droplets. They feed on the droplets of food we eat. Now, these two parasites, they benefit from the human body, which is the host, but the human body does not benefit from it, neither is it being harmed by this parasite. So this is a common example of commensalism. Then we look at mutualism. Mutualism. This is a symbiotic relationship whereby two organisms benefit from each other. So they cannot, these two organisms cannot live without each other. They need, is a symbiotic relationship that the two organisms benefit from each other. Example, the lichens. The lichens is formed from algae and fungi. Algae and fungi. Now, algae and fungi, they're actually mutualistic because they need each other. So the relationship between algae and fungi is what leads to the formation of what we call the lichens. The lichens. The lichens. Then lastly, we look at parasitism. Parasitism. Now this is the basic that we need. Parasitism is a type of symbiotic relationship that involves two organisms whereby the smaller organism called the parasite depends on the host for survival, whereby the host is being harmed and the host does not benefit anything in return from the parasite. So in parasitism, it involves the parasite deriving nutrients from the host, but the host in turn does not benefit, but it is being harmed. Now we have two types of parasites. We have endoparasites, and we have the ectoparasites. Now we have the ectoparasites. Forgive me for this, my writing, because I'm just using one hand to hold the phone for video, so my writing is not stable. Pardon me for that. Now back to business. Endoparasites and ectoparasites. So endoparasites are those parasites that live inside the body of the host, while ectoparasites are those parasites that live outside the body of the host. Examples of endoparasites, we have the platyhelminthes, we have the hookworms, those ones that live in the alimentary canal of animals, while ectoparasites are mosquitoes, fly, and the rest. Finally, in summary, we'll be looking at the categories of parasites in parasitology. We have two categories: parasites in parasitology. We have two categories. We have the helminths parasites, and we have the non-helminths parasites. Now this helminths parasite is classified into two. It's further divided into two. We have the platyhelminthes, and we have the nematode parasite. While the non-helminthes parasite just include the protozoas. So parasites is classified into two: the helminthes parasite and the non-helminthes parasites. Then the helminthes is now further classified into platyhelminthes and nematode. Then the non-helminthes parasites are just the protozoas. Now this is the end of this class. We will now be looking at the nematode parasites, the protozoas, and the platyhelminthes. Thank you, and don't forget to subscribe. Bye. Have a nice day.